My name is Jim Farmer. Hey, everybody, my name is Jim Farmer. I am the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. I'm also an arts reporter for Georgia Voice. The new film, Joe Bell, is based on the true story of a working class father who embarks on a solo walk across the U.S. to crusade against bullying after his son is tormented in high school for being gay. Mark Wahlberg stars as the title character, and Reid Miller is his bullied son, Jadin. The film opens July 23rd and is written by Larry McMurtry and Dinah Osana of Brokeback Mountain fame. Please welcome Reid Miller.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. How did this project come up for you?
Honestly, just a really boring way, just a normal audition. Like there's no crazy story there. It
Good.
was just I got an audition to tape one day, and it was for this project. And I mean, it was when there was a different director attached. It was when Cary Fukunaga was supposed to direct it, and I sent in a tape, and then sent in a callback tape the same day, and then I didn't hear for a while, and then I got another audition with now Ronaldo directing, and Cary was now producing. And then I did a few auditions, met Cary, not Cary, met Ray and Mark. And then after that, I got the job, and that was that.
Congratulations. How much did you know about this story?
I hadn't heard the story before my audition, because when it happened, I was really young. I think I was like 13. I had heard rumors, I had heard whispers about it in my town, but I never really did any real research because I was so young. But once I got the job, and I was doing my research into Jaden, I found out about the whole story, and it was just really tragic.
Can you talk a little bit about the research you did? So I read that you even wore his clothes and you used his iPod.
Oh yeah, I wore his clothes, used his iPod, listened to home videos of him, talked to his family. I mean, I did absolutely everything that I could to learn every single thing about him, while also remembering that I I'm not him, and I need to do the best job I can at connecting and finding those commonalities and similarities between the two of us, so that I can best portray him as honestly and authentically, without playing a character, and remembering that this is not a character. This was someone who lived and breathed. This was Jadin Bell.
Exactly.
So it was very important to find those commonalities between the two of us.
Can you talk a little bit about Jadin Bell and all that he was dealing with?
Jaden just was so strong.
Mm-hmm.
He was so kind in the face of pure adversity, and he was always unapologetically himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he was dealing with constant torment online, in person. It was really bad. And he didn't talk about it very much. He did a little bit, but not very much. And he was very strong, and he met every single person who hated him with pure love. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And he's just a beautiful soul.
Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between Jadin and his father?
Yeah, Jaden loved his father. Jaden loved Joe. Joe loved Jaden. They loved each other. Joe, he didn't understand, because he felt it was better for him, better for his family, to sweep it under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
He ultimately did want what was best for Jaden. He just didn't understand that he wasn't going about it the right way. And after Jaden passed away, Joe realized his role in that. And that's why he went on that journey. He went on this journey of not just redemption and forgiveness, not for him, but for Jaden to better understand him. Like, he met all of these people along the way, these people that were complete strangers who were suffering in silence, and became such good friends with them, and affected their lives, and they affected his life. And through those experiences, he was able to almost develop a better relationship with his son, even after his son had already passed away. It's a really beautiful thing.
Exactly. I didn't know this story either. So when I was watching the film, I was like, wow, I did not know this. But yeah, there were so many things that I was thinking as I watched this film and after I watched this film, but predominantly it was like what all was going through Joe Bell's mind as he did this. Because I mean, obviously he was dealing with the tragic death of his son and all that had gone on. But what all did you think Joe was going on in Joe said as he set out on this journey?
I think it was a lot. I mean, I think it was blame on
Mm-hmm.
himself. I absolutely think he blamed himself. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, I absolutely think he was dealing with the repercussions of knowing and realizing what his role was in
Mhm.
that. And it was a big role. And I think it was about him realizing that he can't just do this to earn forgiveness. It can't be about him. It's got to be about his son and about how he can better understand what his son was going through. And I think Joe was just set out on being the father and being a better father than maybe he was.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about? I mean, this is a tremendous ensemble cast. Can you talk a little bit about the likes of Mark Wahlberg and Connie Britton and Gary Sinise and working with Ronaldo, the director?
I mean, it was is an incredible team.
Yeah.
It was Mark was someone who I connected with instantly. We very much had that father-son competitive bond. I mean, he cares a lot about me and I care a lot about him, and he's always had my back. And Connie is just such a mom in real life, like so genuinely kind to everyone and so caring. And Ray is just such a wonderful collaborator. And he's so good at giving direction and having such a clear creative vision while also allowing the actors to help guide that ship. I mean, just a wonderful team, the perfect team for this project.
Did you film this all before COVID, or was there parts that were filmed after or during?
It was all filmed before COVID,
Okay.
and it was a while ago,
Yeah.
and that's why it's been such a journey getting this film out because it's been so long. Um, but it's finally coming out, and that's what matters.
How was the Toronto experience? Because I was reading it, and several journalists who were there called you the breakout star of Toronto. What was it like being the breakout star of Toronto last year?
And it for me, it's like that's so kind. Like anytime someone enjoyed my performance, I'm just so happy that they found something that they found something in my performance. And I wasn't able to go to TIFF. No one was because of COVID. Like none of the
Yeah.
cast, and it was it was really kind of heartbreaking. But also, I kept reminding myself that at least we're there. At
Mhm.
least we got into TIFF. At least people are going and getting to see it. The movie's coming out in theaters. It's like, it's a shame I couldn't be there, but also it came out, and that's what matters.
Mhm.
Just humbled that it even came out at this point with
Exactly.
COVID.
Exactly. So the film premiered at Toronto TIFF, and then it took a while for it to actually open up in theaters, which it does July 20. What happened between that time?
Just a lot of life, a lot of
Okay.
learning and growing and honing my craft and just becoming a better person and using what I learned from Jaden to treat people better,
Sure.
to learn how I can be a positive force in people's lives so that we don't have another Jaden, so that people don't feel alone.
Exactly. In terms of the film, what happened with the film? Were there any tweaks to the film or any kind of
Oh
fine tuning?
yeah, so many different edits. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing is like it's one thing to find the movie on set, it's another to find the movie in an edit. And I mean, they went through a lot of editors, to find the right guy. And luckily, this edit, the film itself, it's now coming out is the movie. I remember when I saw one of the first edits, I was with Ray, and this was before COVID. We were sitting there watching it, and it ended, and I looked at Ray, and I was like, he was like, "What do you think?" I was like, "I'm gonna be honest, I don't like it." I was like, this is the movie. This is the movie we're trying to make. And he was like, good. I completely agree.
Okay. That's very candid of you.
Well,
I,
yeah. I mean, it's like I could tell he clearly wanted me to be honest. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think this is the movie we were trying to make. It all feels very past tense. Nothing feels impactful. We're revealing so much early on. Like what's the climax now? And he was like, good, I agree. So we're gonna get someone else to edit it.
I mean, I mean, do you think the film lacks something, or do you think it was just structured awkwardly? Because I mean, I saw it last week, and it feels like it is a film that you all have spent a lot of time. There's been a lot of attention and love and fine tuning. But what was missing in that first cut that you saw?
A lot of those very important events that I can't spoil, but I think you'll know what I'm talking
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
The phone scene, the bathroom scene, a lot of those scenes were in the beginning.
Hmm.
And I understand what they were going for. They were going for a very non-linear thing. They wanted to jump back and forth, but by jumping back and forth so much and getting through what happened to Jaden in almost a montage of sorts, took away the power. It took away the effectiveness. It took away the weight of what happened. And now in this edit, it's so beautifully paced, and you're able to see what happened to Jaden in increments, in well-timed and paced increments throughout the film. So we're able to see how we got where we got to without revealing everything in the first 5 minutes.
Do you
Trusting
know,
the audience.
exactly? Do you know any teenagers who've gone through similar circumstances in terms of the bullying that Jaden has?
I mean, I have as well. I mean, I dealt with a lot of bullying growing up. I grew up in a small town, and it was really hard. But I've been very, very blessed and lucky to have the people in my life that I have to help me get through it, and for me to help them get through whatever they're getting through.
Exactly. Yeah, this film would feel topical anytime, but especially now when there's such a high suicide rate among gay teenagers. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why it's so important to have this movie right now?
We're in a time where the battle for tolerance and the battle for inclusion is so important. The LGBTQ plus community has made so many incredible strides, and laws that have been passed, and everything. But there are still a lot of places that just can't seem to get the memo. So I'm hoping that this movie is able to talk to those people directly and go, look, this is what we're fighting for. I don't know what version of this you see, but we're fighting for equality. We're fighting for people to love who they want to love unconditionally. And time to get with the program. You know what I mean? It's like, because this is what happens when you don't. This is what happens when you treat people like this.
Exactly.
Because they're people.
Sure.
They're human beings. Everyone is human beings. We're all here in the same boat, man. It's like we all got to treat each other with a little more love and empathy.
Exactly. This film is opening July 23rd in wide release, which I think is kind of unprecedented because so many films like this open up in art house theaters here and there. You might see it there. I think it's really extraordinary. This is opening literally across the country.
Yeah.
So it will be in theaters with Fast and Furious and Cruella,
Yeah.
all the big movies. Can you talk about the importance of having this movie as an option with all those others?
I think having this movie run alongside these other big films is kind of typically would be seen as a bad thing. But I think because these other films have been out for as long as they have, it makes Joe Bell look better, that it's able to run with the big dogs like Fast 9, like Cruella, like Snake Eyes, like all of these films, that we believe in it enough to release it at a time where there are blockbusters out there, because we know people are going to see this film, because we know how important this film is. And the people who are going to see it are the people who need to see it. And I feel very confidently about that.
Yeah. So what are you working on? What's your next project?
I can't talk about that, but it's cool. There's a cool thing coming up that I'm really excited about that's very, very different from this. I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Gotcha. A few moments ago, you mentioned that this film will be seen by the people who need to see it. Who are the people that need to see this film? I mean, obviously, it'll attract a lot of attention when it opens, but who are the people who specifically need most to see this film?
I think a lot of young people need to see this film. Yeah. I think a lot of people, because of COVID, everything's online. So online bullying and harassment is more prominent than ever. And I think people need to learn, especially people my age, younger, older, need to learn how powerful words can be, whether you're online or in person. That can really affect someone's life. It can end a life. It can save a life or end a life. Words are so powerful. And that's what I hope.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The film is Joe Bell. It opens wide on July 23rd. Thank you, Reid Miller, for taking
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the film. And
Thank you.
It's extremely well next week.
Awesome. Thank you. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Have a great day. Thanks so much.